I want to wish a warm welcome to everyone. Thank you very much to be here with us again. And before starting, okay, there are also other people that are joining the meeting. Before starting, also Enzo Giuseppe wants to give to you all a warm welcome.
Dear professors and students, I also would like to extend my most sincere greetings to all of you present in this webinar. I am very pleased to know that you are very passionately following this meeting. Welcome to all of you. I hope that this study meeting will give you a better understanding of the European institutions in Brussels, their individual features, and their mutual interaction. I also hope that you see Europe as an important actor of stability and progress in international affairs, and that you love its values of peace, democracy, solidarity. Since my English is not fluent, I prefer that Rose Eleanor Giuseppe takes over from here. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you very much. So we can start the meeting today. We start our second webinar on European Training Project. It's a virtual journey of European capitals that has been divided for you in 3 webinars. So last time we have been in Alsace and in Strasbourg, and today we are going to visit Brussels. We can imagine that now we are virtually traveling, and we arrive in Belgium. Belgium is a fundamental state for Europe with an area of 30,528 square kilometers with 10,213,752 inhabitants. It is made up of 2 major regions, Wallonia to the south and Flanders to the north, having 2 languages, French and Flemish. It is fascinating to know that Belgium, Holland and Luxembourg preempting the path of European cooperation, establishing Benelux, Be from Belgium, Ne from Netherlands and Lux from Luxembourg, with the London Customs Agreement of 5th September 1944, ratified on 29 October 1947, and revised with the Hague Treaty of February 3rd, 1958. They thus sought to harmonize national policies in economy, social and financial fields, thereafter favoring the free circulation of persons, goods and capital. So let's go today to Brussels, the capital of Belgium. So as usually, I share my screen. 1 second. And we can see here the first photo. This is the photo of the Grand Place, no? in the center of Brussels. And it is one of the most beautiful and famous squares in Europe. So now we are going quickly to see the palaces and the buildings that are here in the square. Because my problem is that unfortunately, as you have already seen last time, I don't speak French. So I will just give you some names in French of the houses that are here in the square, but I want to apologize myself because maybe my pronunciation in French is not very good. So, okay, so let's start. This beautiful square was destroyed, here we have a photo, in 1695 by the Roi Soleil. Roi Soleil is King of Sun in English, and it was rebuilt in just 4 years by the efforts of the inhabitants and the business skills of the city. The square is surrounded by numerous buildings. Here we have one. So the first one is Hôtel de Ville, that stands out with the splendid bell tower also called Belfort. So beautiful that it deserves the nickname of Inimitable Tower. This is the first here. Then we have the second one. Second one is La Maison du Roi, that has never been the headquarters or a royal palace, but was built as a bread market. Inside, there is the Museum of the City of Brussels, and today stands the great palace of the Duke of Brabant. This is the following here, the palace, with the relief of abundance on the pavement. Behind the facade, there are 7 independent buildings. The title of Duke of Brabant, created in 1183 by Frederick Barbarossa, was restored in 1840, after Belgian independence in 1830, as an honorary title for the crown prince. Now, the Duchess of Brabant is Elizabeth. Other buildings are here. Okay, we can see a photo of the other important buildings that there are in the square. So we can start from the right. From the right, there is the Maison de l'Étoile, La Maison du Cygne, or Guild of Butchers, La Maison de Labrador, surmounted by the statue on horseback of the Count Charles of Lorraine, this one. So l'Étoile, Le Cygne, Labrador. This is the statue. Inside it, there is the Brasserie Museum with the history of the beer production cycle. Then there is La Maison de la Rose and Le Mont d'Or. No, Le Mont Tabor. Okay, so these are some of the important buildings. Here we have others. So at the number 13 of the square, there is the Museum of Cocoa and Chocolate, a true specialty of Belgium. If not, hydrogenated fats are added. There is La Maison de la Balance, or House of the Balance, with the balcony with black figure caryatides. Le Chaloupe d'Or, La Maison of the Tailor's Guild. Le Pigeon, or the Pigeon, or House of the Painters. La Maison du Pont, or Maison of the Peacock. La Maison du Chêne, or House of the Oak. La Maison de Boulanger, from the Guild of the Bakers, also called du Roi d'Espagne, with a bust of the King Charles II of Spain, and with statues and octagonal dome. La Maison de la Brouette, or House of the Wheelbarrow, and La Maison du Sac, of the Guild of the Cabinet Makers. La Maison de la Louvre, or of the she-wolves, with Romulus and Remus, suckled by the she-wolves, and with allegorical statue of the two, lie, discord, and peace. La Maison du Cornet, or House of the Horn, of the Guild of the Boatmen, whose pediment is in the shape of the stern of a ship. La Maison du Renard, or of the Fox, for the Guild of Merchants. So here we have seen quite in a quite fast way the palaces, but I would like to bring you there, and so we can see together. We can see together the square very quickly. We can go directly here. So we can enter together the square and see how it is looking in reality. Okay, just a second. We can remove the advertisement. I don't know if our guests want to say something about this square. For example, Rebrina. Rebrina is one of our guests, as he is an administrator in the Directorate-General for Communication and Directorate for Relations with Citizens in the European Parliament. I don't know if you want to share with us something regarding this square, or we can just see the...
I can share just my very personal, I don't know, opinion, because I'm not an architect. Yes. I am ordinary civil servant of the European Union, but I know that Mr. Victor Hugo, the famous French writer, he was living on this square for some time. There is even a house in one of the corners where he was living, and he allegedly said that this is the most beautiful square in the world. Of course, this is very subjective, but when you come in the evening, it's really incredible. It's really beautiful. When the buildings are illuminated, it's a very special moment. So that's my personal contribution to this very nice description.
Thank you very much. Yeah, as we can see from the video, it's very fascinating. Unfortunately, we don't have very much time, so as always, now I stop here. We have just seen the square together, so we can move faster. And I share the link here in the chat, so you can see all the videos. You can save the link. Okay. You can save the link and okay, and watch it later on. Yes, it will. Okay, so I want to say other two things regarding the square, and then we can move to other symbols of the city. Unfortunately, this computer is not working very, very fast, so we have to wait. Here it is. So in this square, it's very important, the flower festival. So since 1971, every 2 years on August 15th, for, sorry, there is the advertisement. For several days, close to the Feast of Assumption, the Grand Place in Brussels is covered with a carpet of flowers, each year in a new and original design. The begonias are placed one by one by the Ghent gardeners, directly on the square of the pavement. To make everything more magical, there is colorful lighting of the beautiful Grand Place. The realization of the carpet of the flowers follows a precise work plan that includes numerous phases and involves hundreds of expert gardeners. After the design of the motif, which is normally conceived well in advance, the calculations are carried out to identify the number of flowers needed, and the chromatic tones are studied. Once the design is complete, the actual work begins, with the drawing on the square of the lines that define the motif, continues with the laying of the ground, and ends with the planting of flowers, one by one, in different colors, numbering about 300 per square meter, for 1,800 square meters. In total, therefore, about 440,000 flowers. These are cut flowers, which must remain fresh on the ground without wilting under the great August heat. So this is, as you can see, it's always in this square, and so the video is almost finished, but I will share again the link with you all. So you can see it again at home. And now we continue. Okay, this is another photo of the flower festival. And then very quickly, I want to close the presentation of this unique square, talking about a special event that is happening in the square again. This event is called Omegang. Omegang is a sumptuous parade that starts every July from the Church of Notre-Dame des Victoires du Sablon, and which ends in the Grand Place. According to the legend, the origin of the Omegang in Brussels goes back to a local woman who had a vision in which the Virgin Mary told her to see the miraculous statue of Our Lady on a Stick in Antwerp. Take it to Brussels and put it in a chapel of the Crossbowmen's Guild in the church by Sablon. The woman stole the statue and through a series of miraculous events managed to transport it by boat to Brussels in 1348. She was then solemnly placed in the chapel and venerated as the protector of the guild, which promised to commemorate the event every year. So this is a very small introduction of the square. And now we can move to this. This is the Atomium. Oh, sorry. The Atomium is one of the symbols of Brussels. And while explaining the Atomium, I would like again to show to you another video that we found that is very, very nice video. Okay. Okay, so the Atomium is one of the symbols of Brussels. It is located in the Icel Park. It was erected in 1958 on the occasion of the Expo on Global Exhibition organized that year in Brussels. It is a steel construction coated with aluminium that represents a molecule on an iron crystal enlarged 165 million times. It's very big. It is interesting to recall that in 1957, one of the treaties of Rome was dedicated to the Euratom. So at the time of the audacious construction was very typical. Designed by the architect André Waterkane, it was originally supposed to last 6 months. The monument has a total height of 102 meters. The 9 spheres, which have a diameter of 80 meters, are connected to each other by escalators and stairs. Through windows and portals, it is possible to look at the other spheres on the panorama below. The connecting pipes have a diameter of 3 meters. 3 of the upper spheres have no vertical support, and therefore, for safety reasons, are not open to the public. From the windows of the upper sphere, you can enjoy a panoramic view of Brussels, while the other spheres host various exhibitions. If the climatic condition is finished, so we continue with few photos. Okay, so this is by night. So I was saying, if the climatic condition prevent the view of the panorama from the highest sphere of the structure, the Atomium is equipped with computers capable of digitizing the external environment in order to allow you to visit it on any day. So before finishing also the presentation of the Atomium, I would like to share with you this link that actually where you can see the Atomium from inside and see the different exhibitions that are happening. But because we don't have very much time, I prefer to share with you and then you can watch it at home. 1 second. Okay, so here it is the link where you can see the Atomium from inside. Now we see, okay, here it's another photo of the Atomium by night. And then this is the NATO and its new headquarters. So the NATO is the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, called in English NATO, but in French OTAN, and is an international organization of Europe and North America for collaboration in the defense sector. NATO's founding treaty, the Atlantic part, was signed in Washington on April 4th, 1949, and entered into force on August 24th of the same year. Currently, 30 states in the world are members of NATO. It is based in Brussels. The new headquarters was inaugurated in 2017, while the move from the old headquarters was completed in 2018. The inauguration was done during the presidency of President Trump. NATO's new headquarters in Brussels costed 1.17 billion euros, despite the expenditure forecast in 2011 project to stop at 1 billion. It appears like it's taken from Star Wars. It is a glass and steel giant that some have compared to a Star Wars spaceship for its unique and LED-filled walls. The new headquarters is located a few hundred meters from the old one, and the move has been in progress since March 2017. The latter, built in 1966 on a former Air Force base, was supposed to be provisional, and over the years it has dilapidated. The NATO headquarters was moved from France to Brussels, following misunderstanding with General de Gaulle. The new structure occupies an area as large as 2.5 stadiums, and building it took 72,000 square meters of glass, a way to symbolize the transparency of the organization. It will contain, among the other things, a secret archive of 6.9 kilometers. The new headquarters has around 60,000 sensors to meet security needs, 1,365 offices, and 18 meetings rooms. So this is the NATO that quickly we wanted to show you in Brussels. And now this is the symbol of the NATO. And now we enter inside the European district. So this is the Europa building, that is the seat of the European Council. Okay. Then this is one photo. Then we have another photo. This is the Justus Lipsius Palace. This palace is the headquarters of the Council of European Union and the Council of Ministers. Justus Lipsius was a Flemish Catholic philologist, philosopher, and humanist. Lipsius wrote a series of works designed to revive the ancient Stoicism in a form compatible with Christianity. Then we have the European Parliament building that is dedicated to Altiero Spinelli. Altiero Spinelli is the great Italian thinker and politician who founded the European Federalist movement and wrote the Ventotene Manifesto. So this is the European Parliament, this is the entrance, this is another part of the palace, and here we have the chamber. So this is the building. Then we have the Parliamentarium. The Parliamentarium is the largest visitor reception center that we have in Europe, and is second in the world only to that of the Capitol Hill in Washington. It is operational in 24 languages of the European Union. So this is the Parliamentarium, and again here we have another link that we can share with you, where you can enter here the parliamentarian from inside. So I'm sharing the link with you. And we continue to see the photos. Okay, so this is the Berlaymont Palace. This palace is the seat of the European Commission. The building stands where once there was a girls' school of the Berlaymont sisters, which later moved to Waterloo. The building was built between 1963 and 1969. From 1967 and 1991, it housed 3,000 employees of the European Commission. In 1991, following a report of occupational hazard in form of disease by an official suffering from lung cancer with a strong presence of asbestos in the removed lobe, a total restoration of the building was opted, also to remove the asbestos that protected the structure steel. 1,300 tons were removed. Since 2004, the Commission has returned to occupy the building. So this is the Berlaymont Palace. This is the entrance of the Berlaymont Palace. And this is the palace from above. Then here we have the Charlemagne Palace. Charlemagne building is a skyscraper in the European quarter of Brussels, which houses the Directorate-General for Economic and Financial Affairs, the Directorate-General for Trade, and since 2015, the Commission's Internal Audit Service. The building has 3 wings and 15 floors. And then here we finish this small presentation with the Space Leopold and Paul Harris Park building. The Leopold is the complex of Parliament building in Brussels that houses the European Parliament, a chamber of the European Union. It consists of a series of buildings, the oldest, the Paul Harris Park building, which houses the debating room and the president's offices, and the Altiero Spinelli building, which is the largest. The buildings are located in the European quarter east of Brussels, which construction started in 1989. The complex is not the official seat of the Parliament, which is, of course, the Louis Weiss building in Strasbourg, in France. But since most of the other European institutions are located in Brussels, the Parliament built the Brussels complex to be closer to their activities. Most of the Parliament's work is now geared towards its Brussels sites, but is legally bound to keep Strasbourg as its official headquarters. So here again, I would like to show you a link. This is actually a video that is done with a drone. 1 second. Where we can see the European quarter in Brussels from above here. Again, I don't know if our guest, Rebrina, wants to comment something about this video, or we can just watch it for a few seconds and we start our discussion later on.
No, this, for example, this building on the right side is completely new. It was a hotel that was rebuilt. Then the Charlemagne building is on the left. Berlaymont, the Commission, is on the left as well. So this is the belly button of the European district. It's called Schuman Square, named after one of the founding fathers of the European Union. And now you can see that actually this Schuman Square, where you find the Council and the Commission, is just 10 minutes or 7 minutes far away from the Parliament. So here we are at the Schuman Square. This building on the left is called Lexus. That's where you can find translators for the Council. This is the hotel I spoke about. It's on the right side. It's completely new. So we have a very up-to-date video. Congratulations. And this is all again, this is the Charlemagne building when the economists are sitting. My friend who is an economist, he's sitting there. This is the hotel that we spoke about. This is not EU institution. And behind this, actually European Parliament. So European Parliament is very, very close from the other two institutions. That's very important point to remember. Sorry, you wanted to say something?
No.
So now we are approaching the Parliament. Basically, this is on the right side is Park Leopold. This is a park where all the civil servants from European Parliament during the lunch break are going to make a rounds, fare un giro con il sandwich, and now you already see the buildings of the European Parliament in front of you. So the oval one, that's the one where the plenary chamber of the European Parliament is located. On the right side, this is the Altiero Spinelli building. So altogether, plenty of buildings connected with bridges, with corridors. And this thing on the top, the round thing, it's actually a symbol of European Parliament. It's called Caprice de Dieu. It reminds of a famous French cheese. And this is already the square. Okay. This is again the park next to the Parliament. There you can find, for example, House of European History, very new site that you can visit. Very near, you can find Parliamentarium. And now we are going back from the Parliament to the Schumann Square, where you can find the Council and the Commission. So everything is very close to each other. Because why is it so close? Because Parliament and the Council are co-legislators. They are like, Parliament is like lower chamber and Council is the upper chamber of one Parliament. Like Parliament is the Chamber of Deputies, and lower chamber and the and Council is the Senate. And these two chambers have to agree. That's why they are so close to each other physically.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So here I can share also this.
It's good to mention that here there are plenty of Commission buildings in front of us, which are, because what we saw the Berlaymont, that's the main building of the Commission. But Commission, for example, each DG, each Directorate-General, basically we can consider it as a ministry of European Union. They are spread around this district. So you have DG Agriculture, DG Transport, etc. And they were all dispersed around the video that you could see right now. So the Berlaymont building, the Asbestos building, is just the one where the commissioners are sitting, Mrs. von der Leyen are sitting. The main events are taking place, but Commission is the biggest EU institution. It has approximately 33,000 civil servants working for them. So they need much more buildings than any other EU institution. Okay, enough.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So before leaving, giving the possibility to Jan Rebrina to show to us his presentation, I would like to share with you just another link. It's a video of 20 minutes. So of course we are not seeing here this video because it's very long. And this is a link where there is a speech of Liliana Segre. Who is Liliana Segre? She is an Italian Holocaust survivor named Senator for Life by the President Sergio Mattarella in 2018 for outstanding patriotic merits in the social field. So we can see her speech in Italian at the Brussels, in the European Parliament in Brussels, and during a commemoration of January 27. And you can watch it at home, because I know that like you all are studying languages and you are also studying Italian. So I think it can be very interesting for you to see this video. Oh, okay. So now Meroni is coming. So Meroni is our second guest.
Okay.
So Meroni, okay.
Hello, Meroni, Giuseppe.
Il microfono è spento, quindi lo deve...
Sì,
ecco.
purtroppo c'è un problema tecnico e ho dovuto cercare un device.
Ecco, infatti sì, la stavamo aspettando. Che cosa facciamo? Allora, diamo prima la parola all'altro relatore? O
sì. No, va bene, per me va bene.
Okay, so we can start with Rebrina. Rebrina, as we told before, is the administrator in the Directorate-General for Communication and Directorate for Relations with Citizens in the European Parliament, and he has prepared for us a very interesting presentations about the European institutions and how the European institutions are collaborating together in Brussels. So we are happy to have him here with us. So you can start your presentation.
Okay, thank you very much. Just as regards timing, I've got around 20 minutes, or...
Yes, more or less, yes.
So we are at so half past 11, and then space for questions and answers, right?
No, and then there will be Giuseppe Meroni's speech, and then the space for questions and answers.
So we do the questions answers afterwards.
Afterwards. If you have, like, sorry, do you have time? If not, we can like.
No, I have time. It's fine. Okay. So thank you for the invitation. My name is Jan Rebrina. It's a very tongue-twisted name because I come from Czech Republic. I've been working in the European Parliament for the last 17 years. I am the employee of the institution. So basically, what does it imply? It implies that every 5 years you have to move from one department to another to learn all the time something new. They call it a mobility. So I've been one of the victims of this system, so-called mobility. So I started my career in the parliament in the library. We were preparing the briefings for the members of parliament. Then I was working with document management, and now I work in the department where I welcome visitors. So when you come to parliament after the COVID times, I will welcome you, I will take you with me, and I will show you around very interesting places in this institution. So that's about me. I already told you I'm from Czech Republic, so it's just 800 kilometers from Brussels, where I am now. But who came from the longest distance? Who came from South America?
Hey, I came from South America.
Wonderful. Which country, Felipe?
Colombia.
Wow, excellent. Colombia. I've never been there. And somebody from Asia? Okay, so
from Nigeria.
Excellent. I had plenty of groups from Nigeria, including your members of parliament. So I know everything about Nigeria. No, I'm exaggerating, but it's been quite an intensive interaction. Perfect. So now we are on one boat and we want to learn something about, because Brussels is not only a beautiful place, not only the most beautiful square in the world, not only Atomium, it's also basically capital of the European Union. It's capital of European Union. How come? How did Brussels end up as a capital of European Union? Basically, some people say it's because it's B, Belgium, Brussels. It's one of the first letters in the alphabet. That's why they got it. It's not true. The thing is that after the war, when this project started evolving, it was not sure, it was not clear whether we should have one capital for the whole organization, or if this country should have, for example, Luxembourg should have the judiciary branch, or France should have just the legislative branch, and Belgium should have, for example, just the executive branch. There were all kinds of temporary solutions. One of these temporary solutions was appointment of Brussels or allocation of European Parliament's premises to Strasbourg and Luxembourg. That's where European Parliament started. A temporary solution was to put the Commission and Council to Brussels, and there were all kinds of discussions, negotiations, but at the end, in 1992, very important date, all these compromises were confirmed as a permanent arrangement, and the decision was that the Council and the Council and the Commission, the official seat will be in Brussels, and the official seat of European Parliament will be in Strasbourg. Okay. Nevertheless, the core of the activities and the buildings of European Parliament are in Brussels, because, as we saw from the video, it's very close from the Council. And since we are co-legislators, European Parliament is co-legislator with the Council, we need to interact very closely with these institutions. So since 1980s, 1990s, a majority of work of European Parliament moved from Strasbourg to Brussels. Okay. So majority of the Parliament is also in Brussels, but officially the seat is still in Strasbourg. So once a month, part of the Parliament is moving to Strasbourg for the so-called plenary sessions. If there is time, I will show you a short video about that. So basically, in Brussels, the main political negotiations of the Parliament take place. And what is the compromise that is agreed in Brussels, then we travel to Strasbourg to confirm it by majority of the members of the Parliament in so-called plenary session. So in Strasbourg, we have plenary sessions. We have them also in Brussels, but they are very short in terms of time. We call them mini sessions. They take place only several times a year. It's normally Wednesday afternoon, Thursday morning. Now, during the COVID, it's a completely unprecedented situation. We stopped going to Strasbourg. So we stopped going, and the plenary sessions take place in Brussels. Just they are online, so not all the members are in the room, and they are not obliged to be there. You can connect from your from your home country. Okay, so this is just something about the history, why Brussels. For example, the reason why the Council premises and the Commission premises started to be constructed in Brussels is that allegedly Brussels had the first presidency of the European Council. So when the Council started operating, Belgium was the first country to be in charge. So that's why Brussels was chosen as headquarters for these two institutions, for the Commission and the Council. So, but there are different theories. The status quo was set in 1992. It's so-called Edinburgh Protocol to the European treaties. It was so-called Edinburgh, Edinburgh in Scotland. Edinburgh European Council, and that's where all the temporary arrangements were confirmed as done, as agreed. Okay, if it can still change, but it can change only if every single member state agrees with the change. It's important. It's not in our traveling to Strasbourg. It's not in the hands of members of Parliament. It's not our wish. Majority of members of Parliament is against this constant commuting. But if they would like to change it, they can't. We are the only Parliament basically that cannot decide where they want to hold their sittings, official sitting, or where to have their official seat, because it's in the hands of the member state. So every single member state would have to say, okay, I agree with this arrangement. Okay, so this is just something linked to the discussion on Brussels as the capital of the European Union institutions. Now we have this organization. I don't think we have to discuss the rationale behind. No. it's European Union. If you have any kind of cross-border project, for example, if Italy would clean their sea from plastic cups, plastic straws, would it help? No. All the rubbish could come from France or Croatia, because nature doesn't know limits. So if we want to have clean nature in Europe, for example, we have to work on it together. So that's one of the concrete reasons why we are in this organization. Then we have freedom of movements of many kinds, persons, services, etc. That was already mentioned in the previous presentation. So that's another reason why we are adapting the common rules for this continent. And then also the most pertinent reason why we are here is to ensure, basically to avoid the same disasters that have been going on this continent for the whole history. Basically, European Union from the very beginning is a peace project. It sounds pathetic, but when you see what's happening in Europe, for example, in the neighboring countries, it's I think we are all listening to the same music, watching the same movies, but somebody is sitting somewhere in the trenches, shooting each other, and this is something what this organization try to avoid. Basically, we still have French interests, we have German interests, we have Czech interests, but we don't want to resolve them in the same way like we've been resolving them in the history. We don't want to resolve with weapons and with armed conflict. So for me, this is unprecedented situation what's happening in Europe, that such old rivals like Germany and France can discuss their problems at the table. This is the main reason why we are here. European Union is completely different model of international cooperation from the other international organizations. European Union has its own set of rules. It's called European law, and these rules, they have priority over the national rules. Okay, when you have traditional or international organization, you as a member state, you can say, okay, I want to be bound by this treaty, I don't want to be bound by this treaty. In European Union, you don't have this cherry picking. You have to, once you become a member, you have to accept this set of rules that moreover take priority over your national rules. And this is one of the biggest difference. And I think like this, it works. Also important element is that majority of decisions on the European Union level is taken by majority. In very few cases, one country can veto everything. So this is also a big difference between the European Union and the other international organizations, because you need to negotiate. Okay, you need to negotiate, you need to persuade the others about your point, you need to strike a compromise. One country cannot block everything almost in anything. For example, foreign affairs, yes, taxation, yes, but in very narrow fields, it can happen. For the rest, you need to negotiate with your other fellow Europeans. So this is the difference between the European Union and the other international organizations. Now, if we want to get rid of the plastic cups, plastic straws, how will we do it? I will just show you a very simple slide. Let me just share the screen now. And it's here. Okay. So if we want to get rid of the plastic cups, plastic straws for the whole European Union, if you want to have clean air, then somebody has to decide, somebody has to initiate. Who will initiate it? Basically, in most of our countries, or even in your countries, the main initiator is the government. And the role of European government is played by European Commission. Okay, so Commission is the initiator. They prepare the proposal. By the way, their role, it has two substantial roles: to prepare the rules, European rules, and also to check if they were really implemented. So they are kind of a watchdog of the whole system. So Commission prepares the proposal and sends it both at the same, or basically at the same time, to the European Parliament and to the Council. And these two institutions, as it was already said several times, Parliament and the Council have to agree. If they agree, we know that in 1 or 2 years' time, no more plastic cups, no more plastic bags, etc. Okay? Why do we need so many institutions? basically the important element here is that each of these institutions represents completely different point of view. Commission, whose interest is represented in this institution. So as you see, this is the asbestos building, the Berlaymont building that was already shown before. This is the place where the general interest of this international project is promoted and represented. Each country has one commissioner. So the politicians in these institutions are so-called commissioners. Basically, commissioner is like a minister in your government, okay? And these commissioners, they are not, even though each country nominates one, they don't represent their country's interest. They are fighting for the general good of this organization. For example, Czech commissioner is in charge of rule of law issues. So she's in charge of that, but she tries to bring together 27 different European political and legal systems to come up with some general proposal. So that's the Commission. Parliament, who decides whose position is represented in the Parliament? Basically, it's you that are European citizens. This is the main place for you to focus on, because European Parliament is the only EU institution where you can choose your representatives. Every 5 years, we've got elections for the European Parliament. Altogether, before Brexit, we had 751 members of European Parliament, and now we have only 705. So that's the Parliament. And the Council, it was already mentioned, this is the Justus Lipsius building. That basically Council is also representing us in Brussels. Like, for example, my country is also represented in Brussels, and who represents my country? Logically, the national ministers that are in charge of a given subject. So Council is basically 27 ministers of agriculture sitting around one table, debating and deciding the same proposal that is laying on the table in the European Parliament. Okay, so the Council is basically in one room, Czech Minister of Agriculture, French Minister of Agriculture, Greek Minister of Agriculture sitting and debating and discussing. By the way, they cannot be in Brussels all the time because they are national ministers at the same time. So their work is pre-prepared by someone who is called permanent representation of the member states to the European Union. Basically, each member state has their embassy in Brussels. That is basically not embassy to Belgium Kingdom, but it's embassy to the European Union. So, for example, Czech Republic has in Brussels 3 different embassies. One to the European Union, which is the biggest one of Czech Republic abroad. There are plenty of civil servants and diplomats from the Czech Republic. Then one embassy to the Belgium Kingdom and one embassy to the NATO. Okay, and these ambassadors from the permanent representations, they meet regularly and they basically polish the edges. They try to argue about concrete percentages, concrete issues, so that when the proposal arrives to the table of the ministers, then majority of the issues of the controversies are already clean. Okay, so important for you to remember this. You maybe in Italy heard about the ECOFIN European Council. So, for example, well, not European, ECOFIN Council of Ministers. That's the moment where when the ministers of finances and economics are meeting and discussing the issues. This is something else from the Eurogroup, because, as you know, not all the member states of European Union, they've got euro as a currency. So when you need to discuss something linked to euro, then it's not council, it's basically a special body which is called Eurogroup. So ECOFIN and Eurogroup, 2 different things. Council, that's the ECOFIN, and Eurogroup, it's very linked to that, but it's not directly involved in this system. Basically, the Eurogroup meetings take place on the eve of the ECOFIN Council, which takes place basically once a month. Okay, so now this is basically the basic triangle, and now let's jump inside of one of these institutions, and it is the European Parliament. When, how much time do we have? We don't have much time. I will show you the last slide maybe. When we already said that the Parliament, the plenary sessions take place in two different places. The main one are in Strasbourg. This is the chamber in Strasbourg. And if we have plenary session in Brussels, it looks like this. How are all the members in the institution organized? Basically, it looks like this. We have currently 7 political groups that basically go from the left side to the right side, from going from the left side of the spectrum through the center to the right. And basically the main crucial task for these politicians that are representing you, European citizens, is to find a compromise. The important thing is there is no set coalition among these political groups, and there is no, as you see, there is no majority political group. So all the time, if you want to win, you need to negotiate, because there is no government coalition. Like in your national parliaments, you've got government coalition. There is no government coalition in European Parliament. There are frequent coalitions, but everything very much depends on the subject. For example, if the subject will be more green, it will be rather the left side of the spectrum and the center. If it will be more business oriented, it will be the center and the right side of the spectrum. And and this changes all the time. So if you want to succeed in this house, it's good to be member of one of these political groups. It's important that you negotiate very well, and also it's important that your political group ensures party discipline, because party discipline in the parliament is slightly weaker than in national parliaments. On the average, it's around 80% of members in political groups that will raise their hand for the proposal. Sometimes the issue can be so sensitive for member states that it can happen that the members of European Parliament can eventually also defend national interests. It can happen, but it cannot happen all the time, because the main place where national interests should be represented is the Council. That's what we already spoke about. Moreover, if the system works in such a way that if you're, for example, Spanish socialist, that's the second biggest political group on the left, you fight not only for the Spanish socialist citizens in the European Union, but you fight for all the socialist citizens in the whole European Union. If you're German conservative, you fight for not only for German conservatives, but for all the conservatives in the whole European Union. That's the logic of the work of European Parliament. At the same time, each country has guaranteed precise number of seats that are distributed among all these political groups that we've just seen. The logic is clear. The more citizens you have as a country, the more seats you're entitled to. However, the more seats you have, the bigger country you are, the more solidarity you have to show with the smaller countries. Because if everything was purely proportionate, the smaller countries would be completely rolled over by the big ones. So, for example, Germany gave out around 60 seats. They would be entitled to 150 seats, not 96, and they redistributed these 60 seats additional among the smaller member states. So every country, the bigger you are, you have to proportionally give up part of your seats that go in favor of the smaller ones, so they can have their political representation also present in the European Parliament. So there are plenty of other things to say, but I'm afraid I ran out of the time. But maybe we can come back to some of these issues when we have the question and answers. I forgot to tell you, you don't have to be member of any political groups. You can be non-attached. That's the group on the right side. So it's not a political group. This not NI, it means non-attached, non-inscrit. It means basically you don't want to affiliate with any other political group, or the other political groups don't want you. It can happen as well. Okay, so I'll stop for the time being, and we can come back to anything you wish afterwards.
Thank you very much. So, Gian, can you stay with us until the end of the meeting so we can leave?
If it's not the end of the day, then the end of the
it will be in 20 minutes, no? Because now we have our guest Giuseppe Meroni with us. And Giuseppe, you can, okay.
Yes.
Yes. I don't know if, like in the first part, we were introducing Brussels, as we have done with in the previous meeting that we have done together last month. So I don't know if you want to tell us something regarding the city of Brussels.
I'll explain you in a few words what is Brussels. First of all, Brussels it's one of it's the capital of Belgium, as someone already told, but it's one of the 4th administrative division in Belgium, because we have the region of Wallonie, the region of Flanders, and the region of Brussels capital that is apart from Flanders and the Wallonie. Moreover, there is another little administrative regions in Belgium that is a German language spoken region nearby the borderline of Belgium and the Netherlands. Brussels itself is divided in 19 municipalities, 19 administrative communes, as they told in French, that have a lot of competence on several issues. From the environmental situation, from the broadcasting choices, and to the other concerning the rules of parking, the rules of use of your car, and so on. In these 19 municipalities are from the biggest one that in which live more than 140,000 people. That is the property Brussels, so-called, the center of the town. And then we have Anderlecht, that is one of the biggest, with 110,000 people live in it, until the little Saint Jos and the little Saint Gilles, that are two municipalities that are composed of little more than 40,000 people. There is another situation to explain it and to clarify that is it's true that Brussels is the capital of Europe, but is also one of the most important city all over the world for the migrants living in, because I don't know if you are aware that one migrant in 5 live in 20 major cities around the world: New York, Madrid, Los Angeles, Toronto, Auckland, Stockholm, Dubai, Rotterdam, Frankfurt, London, and so on. Milano for Italy, and Brussels is one of these of them. After Dubai, Brussels is the city with the largest percentage of residents from foreign origins. And this is based, the data that I explained is based on the World Migration Report issued in 2015 and updated in 2018. More than 60% of the people living in Brussels coming from outside, from foreign origin. Brussels has more or less, 1.2 million inhabitants, basing on the 2018 analysis. And about 6 on 10 persons living in Brussels and resident in Brussels were born non-Belgian. 2 of 6 non-Belgian born residents go to obtain the Belgian nationality. That means that in this town, in this city, we live in a very easy way. We can also take a look about where do the foreigners living in Brussels come from. Naturally, the main part coming from Europe, more or less the 70%, and then from Africa, almost the 17% of people living in Brussels coming from Africa. Then Asia with 9%, South America and North America with 2 and 1%. But looking at the sub-regions division, we can see that more than 50% of people, 46 to be precise, living in Brussels come from the so-called EU15, so the 15 countries of Europe of 1980. And then 21% coming from UA28, from the country of this actual European Union. 10% coming from North Africa and 5% from Sub-Saharan Africa. And then Western Asia, Southern America, more or less less than 5%. And from which country are coming the people living in Brussels? Actually, each year these percentages changes, but more or less we can say that the 15% of people living in Brussels coming from France, the 10% from Romania, 9% from Morocco, that is the Maghreb region in Northern Africa, and the 8% coming from Italy. From Italy to Belgium, there was an historical migration starting in the 50s, and also before. And this year will be the 75 anniversary of this migration. It was called at the times the harms to cool, because a lot of people moving from Italy to find a job in the coal miner, and this was a trade between Italy and Belgium. Then we have Spain, Poland people, Portuguese people, Bulgarian, Germany, and Greece. So we can say that more than 184 nationalities are represented in Brussels, and considering that there are just a little over 200 nationalities worldwide, this path Brussels as one of the most racial and ethnically diverse areas in the world. The challenge was to ensuring the social inclusion of migrants that is essential to the development of a culturally and socially rich society. In order to prevent segregation problem, all local governments, that is the government of Brussels capital and the federal government of Belgium, should guarantee migrants social inclusion in terms of housing, working, healthcare access. There is the possibility, there is the possibility to improvement in regards how to geographically segregation some communities current are, because the challenge is to have a sharing situation, to mix it up in every district, the inhabitants and their origin, but it's not so easy, because once a time the Turkish and the Africans are choosing to live in some districts and the Europeans in the other districts, but it's not so evident, so this different, and the segregation from North Africa and the Turkey are only the way that are set it up in Brussels right now. And how can I add? But Brussels is also a city, a town in which we have a very high attention level on environment, and since this January on, for instance, the speed limit for driving a car in all the town is 30 kilometers per hour. I can assure you that is really complicated to drive. I saw Gian Rebrina with smiling because I guess he took the same problem. It's really complicated to drive on Brussels, even if for this speed limit, because this is frankly speaking really difficult to attend on. But anyway, this is one of the decisions of several years ago that set it up from last January on, and apparently there is no problem, and just for many minutes to go to work. Brussels is also one of the most important cities for the bike lane, the separate bike lane for cyclists in Brussels. You can cross practically all the town without problem with cars, and there is also a very high respect for the pedestrian. Each time you will be nearby a traffic lights. All the drivers stop their car to consent you to across the street. It's a really a situation really safe for the pedestrian that are moving in Brussels. There is also a big very high level of car sharing and bike sharing, and also trottinette sharing. I don't remember the English name for the trottinette, the self-driven. I'm sorry, I don't remember the name. Anyway,
scooter, I think.
Scooter. Okay, thank you very much. Yes, the scooter by feet. And it's a very, I mean, I living in here from 10 years. It's, in my opinion, it's a very smart city to live in. And for the moment, that's all. I have to tell you, I'm too sorry, but I have to also to let my office now, because I have to go to be COVID tested because I have to try to fly tomorrow, and because before flying I have to test my COVID situation for the 10th times, but not important. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your introduction.
Thank you,
so, Giuseppe, I don't know if you have to go, like we can say to
I have to go in 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yes.
So maybe the students can ask questions directly to Giuseppe Meroni before and then to Gian Rebrina if you have some questions for him. As he was saying, Gian, before, please don't be afraid of talk to us. We are here for you all. So please, you can raise your hand, you can write, you can take your turn. There is no problem. You have to do now.
In the meanwhile, may I?
Yes.
First of all, thank you very much for both, for your presentation and to be with us. Just a little question about languages in this international situation. What about languages in the town? Of course, I know that is a very great problem, but also at the Commission. So the problems with languages. Thank you.
If I could, frankly speaking, the language is not a problem in Brussels, because you can working up in the town or taking a bus or in every situation you can hear people speaking in minimum 3 languages, because Brussels is a French enclave in Netherlands regions. They speak Flamand all around Brussels, but almost every people living in Brussels speak at minimum 2 languages. This origin language, the French or English, and that is for town situation. Each bus driver are speaking normally in French and in English, and some one of them even in Flemish language. And so you have if you understand, if you speak a little English or a little French, you will have no problem in Brussels in town. About the institution, I give the floor to Jean, that can explain better than me. But anyway, there are 4 official languages: English, Spanish, French, and German. But anyway, there is a translation for everything. But let Gian explain you.
Okay, so on the street, definitely, exactly as Mr. Meroni said, you can speak basically any language, and everybody will always understand you. French, English, it's Flemish. It's very. That's the advantage of multicultural cities. And inside of the institutions, the official languages of European Union are 24. So we have 27 member states, and we have 24 official languages. So, for example, the plenary session I showed you, or at least the chamber, then everything that the member of parliament says, for example, Greek member of parliament speaks sometimes just Greek, and everything is interpreted into all the other 26 official languages. And however, at the backstage, you don't have interpreters with you all the time, so you absolutely need to speak as a politician English or French. This is very necessary. And inside of the institutions, there are 3, for operational level, there are 3, or at least in the parliament, 3 official languages, which is English, French, and German. So when we receive some internal note, for example, from our Director-General or Secretary-General, then it's in 3 different languages. So, and inside of the institutions, you basically speak in the way if you speak Italian, you speak with your Italian boss in Italian. If you speak French, you speak with your French colleagues in French. But it's ad hoc. There are ad hoc situations, and the more languages you speak, the more successful, of course, you are in, for example, in terms of negotiations. So it's a very broad topic, but officially European Union, 24 official languages, and everything that is the all the official documents, all the legislative documents are translated into 24 official languages as well, because these institutions are here for the citizens, and the citizens should know what is inside. And the same, you can watch plenary sessions online, and you can click on the small icon Czech or Italian on the during the plenary session or committee meeting session, and you can also listen to the same interpretation in your mother tongue as the others. Okay, that's enough.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So we have to say that maybe that they are also using this system to keep all the languages alive, no? Because if not, if everything were, for example, in English, then slowly you destroy the other culture and the other languages, no? So I think that this is the system to give importance to all the languages and all the culture and all the nationalities that are represented inside the European institutions. So, Meroni?
Yeah.
Yes, just to say goodbye. Thank you for you. Thank you, John, for your short presentation. And just to remind to Madame Anna Sonsini, there was someone in the past that proposed to introduce the Latin language, to have a sort of new Esperanto for the acronym of the law, for instance, or for some ideas concerning the name of every resolution. But as Jean Rebrina told, all the working documents are issued in 4 languages, the most important. And the system of translation is based on these 4 languages, because there is not a direct translation from Slovenian to English, from Slovenian to Italian, Slovenian to Maltese, Slovenian to but all people speaking are translating in 4 languages, English, French, and then from other countries, from Poland, you can take the English, the French, or the German translation at well. And that sometimes there are little problem, because in many languages the negative and form is complicated, and sometimes an affirmative question becomes negative. And I remember in the past some problem. Right now, with the COVID situation, the works of the translator, the interpreter, that are more than 400 as interpreter, and 700 working in Luxembourg for the translation of every document, are more difficult, because we have to do a lot of in remote situation. Their work is it's a little bit harder than in the past. But anyway, I guess that this European Union, that its motto is unity in diversity, have to take and to save these different languages situation, just to trying to have a sort of a best and the bigger unity for the future. So I have to leave. Thank you very much once more. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for your presence.
Thank you. See you.
Goodbye.
Bye.
So, Jean, I don't know if you, because you were saying before that maybe you wanted to say something more during.
I will say only something to who is interested in knowing something.
I think everyone is interested now, because we are here.
So let's have questions and answers now.
Okay. So, which are the questions? Alba Loris, see, you can speak.
Yes, I would like to ask for the profile of people working in all these institutions.
Mhm.
Thank you.
Okay. Where are you from, Alba?
From Barcelona, in Spain.
Barcelona. Okay. I would say from Russia, from your appearance, but it doesn't matter. French. You remind me my schoolmates from university. Okay, so basically, it's important question for your generation, because we need young people to be involved in the European politics and to work in the institutions. And the profile, basically, you need to pass the EPSO competition. EPSO. If you want to become one of the 50,000 EU civil servants, which means you have a very interesting job, a very good salary, and you cannot be fired easily. So then go to the website of agency called EPSO. Okay. It's very difficult, but there are tests, there are textbooks, you can prepare for it. And so my advice is don't apply only for something which is precisely your profile. Apply for everything where you are qualified, because the test is really difficult. So you need to experience several tests, and like this you will be getting better and better. Your performance will be better, because it's not really waiting for the tailor-made post. It's not good. It's good to have already some practice before. And if it doesn't work, as I said, it's not easy, but apply also for jobs in the political jobs in the European Parliament. Not many people know about it. The members of European Parliament, they recruit their assistants. So if you have some favorite political group or Spanish politician, then you should contact them and ask them. You've got Catalan also members of parliament, I think 3 or 4, so very famous ones. So I would contact them and ask them, would you need my expertise? I would be happy to help. Sometimes it helped to my friends that they even offered their services for free for a couple of months, and if the MEP liked it, then they recruited them for regular salary. Second thing, in the parliament, check the offers of the political groups. Plenty of jobs goes more now to the staff in the political groups, which is not the EPSO, because you're not civil servant, you're employee of this group. I showed you these 7 political groups, right? I can send you the presentation afterwards if you want. So you just have to follow, I don't know, the websites of those political groups, or you can contact them and tell them and send them your CV or spontaneous request. So these are the options. So either the official civil servant, which is the EPSO, or the political job in the parliament, either in the political group or with the members of European Parliament. And those of you who are not European citizens, you can do also traineeship in the EU institutions, even if you're not EU citizen. Very important information. It's not as generous as for EU citizens, but it's possible.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. Other students? Mr. Rebrina?
Where is it?
In the chat. You can go in the chat.
Well, okay, now I see it.
So you can interact directly with them.
Just imposed by EU against Lukashenko. Has the EU failed the Belarusian? This is a very political question. I don't think the sanctions were as severe as they could. I don't know. I just heard some politicians' opinion about that, and they. But I'm not such a specialist in this field, what happened in Belarus. So if I said something, it would be unfair for one or the other side. So, but I will tell you, there is you will find your answer on the website, which is called EPRS. You just go to the website of European Parliament, you scroll down, and there is a link called Think Tank. And all the research papers and briefings that we prepare for members of parliament and Belarus, and this resolution is there as well. It's described very nicely, sometimes just 2 pages, sometimes more in depth, and Belarus will be there for sure. You can choose the subject. In this case, it would be foreign affairs. So the answer will be over there. Unfortunately, I cannot keep up with all the news, but I had the feeling that that the measure didn't have really sharp teeth.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
So this EPRS studies, it's important information for Mrs. Soncini also, that her students should exploit it for their studies and their research, because it's for free. It's before it stayed inside of the parliament. Now it's made available to everyone in the world.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Yes.
Important information for you coming from Africa, Latin America, that members of parliament, they are not only specialized in, for example, in a given field, because each member of parliament is in so-called committee, like for foreign affairs, civil liberties, transport. They are also in charge of different countries of the world. They are in so-called delegations. So if you would like to set up some contact with European Parliament, just come to our website, check the members of parliament, and sort them out not by their committee, but by delegation. And you will, like this, you will get all the members that are in charge of, let's say, Latin America, or I don't know, for China or Japan, or Western Africa. So this is like this, you will get the name, and you can send them an email. You can tell them, look, I would be interested, for example, in a traineeship for your office, or I would like to influence the negotiations between you and our government, because these members of parliament go several times a year to your country, or your country representatives come to parliament, and these two parts negotiate and discuss very pertinent issues for your country or for your region. So you can eventually step in if you contact these concrete members of parliament.
Thank you. Very interesting for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very important. Jérôme G, you were saying something to us? Here, there is another person. No, Jérôme G, no. Okay. So I saw that there were also another person that has raised his hand before.
I'm not specialist in foreign affairs, but now there are, with the migration crisis, there are a lot of new projects coming up for investing in Africa, basically to help life of people, to improve the quality of life, because European Union has serious problems with coping with the migration waves. So there are there will be more and more projects, of course, sponsored by the European Union, but they are coming from different fields, energy, etc., etc. So I unfortunately, you need someone from, I would say, from the EU high representatives, basically EEAS, European Union Action Service institution. How is it called? The acronym is EEAS. Basically, it's Ministry of Foreign Affairs of the European Union, and they've got specialists in all the foreign affairs fields of the European Union, and they are those that should represent European Union outside. So I would definitely set up contact with them. But Africa is definitely top priority for European Union because of the reasons that I just mentioned. So it's gonna be, I hope it's gonna be better. Yes.
So I think it's the same more or less also for South America, no?
Yeah. Well, the South America, there is not such the problem with migration is not as serious like from Africa, but Southern America is definitely a serious partner, and also European Union cares about the human rights all around the world. It's not only about economies. European Parliament is the main advocate of human rights. So the European Parliament expressed itself on several occasions about the human rights situation in Latin America, and is supporting the movements in this direction.
Thank you. Thank you. So maybe there are people from South America that they want to ask something, or also from Africa, no? As we are talking about these two continents.
Well, I'm not really expert in foreign affairs, so I can describe you the functioning of the European Union, but as there are so many different branches and fields, then you would need to invite someone from the European Commission, I would say. But let's see. For example, important thing that when European Union is negotiating trade agreements with the other countries outside of the European Union, then it's the Commission that negotiates. In most cases, Commission negotiates these trade agreements. For example, recently we had a trade agreement on free trade zone with Vietnam, with Japan, with Canada. And who negotiates this is the Commission. But before, after the Commission negotiates, European Parliament has to give its green light. It has so-called right of consent. So this is important role of this institution to eventually, it can theoretically even block the negotiation. Well, not negotiations, can refuse the final outcome. So in the meantime, during the negotiations, representatives of the Commission come to the Parliament and they ask parliamentarians for their recommendations, so that they are aware constantly about what's going on. And important thing, European Parliament, as it cares about human rights, it insists on including in these agreements the so-called clauses of, for example, human rights clauses, workers' rights clauses, ecological clauses, environmental clauses. Basically, in a nutshell, it means that European Union says we are happy to trade with you, but you have to guarantee minimum rights for workers, you have to guarantee minimum environmental protection and minimum human rights. So this is something how European Union tries to promote respect of the fundamental rights around the world.
Thank you.
I'm thinking about.
Jan, did you see the last question of Cleona?
Cleona, what is it? Well, anti-EU sentiment. So basically, you mean Euroscepticism, right? How European Union should deal with Euroscepticism. Well, here, and you're mentioning Brexit debate. I think, on the contrary, Brexit really basically brought us closer inside of the European Union, because many people realize that leaving this organization has very serious consequences. For example, British students are not part of Erasmus program anymore. Erasmus program means that young students can study, for example, for half a year in a different EU country, and until from now on, you cannot do it in UK, and UK students cannot do it in the European Union. So even the British Prime Minister, Mr. Johnson, was surprised a couple of months ago by how much administrative burdens come up with the Brexit. So he was promoting Brexit all the time, and when it happens, then he realized how impractical it is, and he made it even clear. His father asked for French citizenship. Mr. Farage, his children, I think, asked for German citizenship because they realize how many advantages the EU is bringing people in everyday life. And even Marine Le Pen, the main opposition leader from France, who is very anti-European, even she started speaking about the Brexit. And I think, oh, not Brexit, sorry, about Frexit, or about leaving France leaving European Union, because people realize with Brexit how much they can lose leaving this organization. So I think thanks to Brexit, people started thinking a bit more deeper. They started looking at all kinds of disinformation in a different way, and I think they are a bit more aware about the real consequences if one country leaves European Union. So I don't think the anti-EU sentiment is stronger than before. I would say it's weaker. And for example, in EU elections 2019, we had the highest turnout in the last 25 years, if I'm not mistaken. So it also confirms interest from the side of the citizens.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Leona.
And also, we are also here because, for example, these students are coming from an Erasmus Mundus project, no? So we are all here all together because of this.
Mm-hmm. It's very important.
Very important, yes. Other questions? So if not, we can close our meeting. It is already 2 hours. So we are very happy to have seen you all. Especially I want to thank Professor Soncini to collaborate with us in this project, and our guest Gian Rebrina, that was very friendly with us all. And this presentation was very, very well done. So if there are no more questions, we can close the meeting here, and we will meet again last time in Italian. And then, of course, we can also think about do another meeting in the future with Gian, no? If it would be possible. For us, it's always a pleasure. And I don't have anything to say more, so we can say thank you all. Guys, do you have other questions? If not, we close it here, the meeting. And ci vediamo a maggio in italiano.
Thank you for everybody. Grazie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Grazie mille, Gian. Grazie.
Thank you. It was very pleasant encounter.
Yeah, for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Alla prossima.
Alla prossima.
Ci vediamo presto.
Adios.
Adios. Hasta luego.